Hey, I'm Mike Quincy. I'm here at Consumer Reports Auto Test Center, and this is the 2025 Toyota Camry. We rented two different trim lines from Toyota. This is the XLE, and we also have an SE on site here at the track. And the big news is that all models come standard with a hybrid powertrain. But don't panic, don't worry about taking a few cautious steps toward electrification, because not only is this engine really powerful and responsive, it gets great fuel economy, and you gotta love Toyota's awesome reliability history with building hybrid powertrains. So this four-cylinder hybrid powertrain makes between 225 horsepower and 232 horsepower, depending on the trim line and whether or not it's front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Now, they're all hooked up to an electronically controlled, continuously variable transmission. And what's also new for 2025 is that all trim lines are going to be available with all-wheel drive. So whenever people talk about hybrid technology, hybrid engines, the first question is, how is it going to do for fuel economy? And Toyota thinks that the hybrids will produce between 44 and 51 miles per gallon, again, whether or not you have it hooked up to front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Naturally, we're going to buy our own Camry test car, and we'll do our own fuel economy test to see just how it works out. So we're inside the XLE version. It's kind of distinguished itself from the other trim lines by kind of an interesting, kind of a quilty, soft touch fabric here on the mid dash. There's all these kind of ribbed plastic, glossy trim, nice leather wrapped steering wheel. What we really like is a traditional gear selector. It's very, very simple. Lots of hard buttons also for the climate system. This is super convenient. The button is right here. You don't have to press the touch screen to bring up a climate menu. All this stuff is very, very straightforward. So one of the biggest differences between the lower trim SE and this higher trim XLE is the higher trims get a much more convoluted and complicated instrument panel that the driver usually goes through to find basic information. There's this touchpad here on the left, which is unlabeled. There's just arrows and a big OK button. So it's really hard to tell what you're getting, but it certainly seems like you have to kind of jump through hoops to get some basic information like a total average fuel economy. And certainly if you're driving a hybrid, you want to know what kind of gas mileage you're getting. So that is way more complicated, and one of the reasons that a number of us here at the test track prefer the SE model with its more simplified controls. The day-to-day livability of the new Camry is pretty easy, pretty straightforward. There are lots of open bins to put a phone. There's a standard wireless phone charger pad here. Every car usually has a bin in between the front seats, and this one has a nice little felt liner inside. It's very spacious. You could put your wallet in there. The door pockets are pretty generous. There's built-in bottle holders, and this is a very functional, easy to live with car. So the new Camry gets Toyota's infotainment system, which we've seen and experienced with a number of models here at Consumer Reports. The screen is pretty straightforward. You've got a nice little menu on the left side of the screen, easy to scroll through to get your music choices. Now, some of my colleagues talked about their frustration with their Apple phones not always pairing to the Toyota infotainment system. This is definitely something we've seen with other Toyota and Lexus models, so make sure that before you take delivery of your new Camry, that you work this out with your salesperson. So we're out driving on the Consumer Reports test track, and the first thing that really strikes you about this car is an excellent driving position. It's easy to see and reach all of the controls, and the visibility is outstanding. They call these A-pillars. The front roof pillars are very thin. The glass area is generous. So this driving position and visibility definitely look quite promising. So I had the opportunity to drive the rented SE model for about 10 hours on a weekend day, and found the seat mostly comfortable. It's not a fancy seat. There is two-way lumbar, which definitely came in handy after a long day's drive, and sort of typical of a lot of Toyota seats. Thigh support is a little short, but there's enough leading edge tilt that you can probably find a very comfortable driving position. We're driving right now in the XLE model, which comes with leather seats, and they also have these nice little suede inserts, which kind of makes it a little fancy. I think that most people will find this seat very accommodating and very comfortable. Now, one of the differences between the rented SE model and this XLE is the XLE came with a big sunroof, big moonroof. Now, for me, the top of my head is kind of touching the frame of the moonroof, and I'm not crazy about that. So my first impression is if you're looking to buy a new Camry, which is on the Toyota website right now, you might want to reconsider getting the big glass roof because it might cut in on your headroom. Hopefully, if you're interested in buying one of these cars, you could go to the dealer, and hopefully they'll have one with the roof and one without the roof to make sure that you fit inside. But for me, definitely better without the roof. And when it comes down to actually driving this car, really found that the steering had very decent feedback. Handling seems pretty precise. No, it's not a sports sedan, but it isn't like a total boring Camry of 20 years ago either. I think Toyota has worked really hard to improve the driving dynamics of this generation Camry. Noise levels are pretty well kept at bay. Some wind noise on the highway that you can hear whistling around the pillars and the outside mirrors, but nothing too intrusive. The ride also is very comfortable, considering that the suspension is a little bit more tied down than in Camrys of the past. So while it's not really super sporty, it isn't boring to drive either, and it does produce a very comfortable ride. In terms of standard safety features, the new Camry is definitely taking great strides forward. New for 2025 is standard blind spot warning and rear cross traffic warning on all trim lines, so that's really significant, and that goes along with the standard forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking, and all of the other standard safety features that we've come to know and love in Toyotas. So sticking to the playbook can be risky for any manufacturer when they're faced with redesigning an iconic car like the Toyota Camry. But really, when you think about our first impressions of this model, is that it's likely going to be comfortable, fuel efficient, and really easy to live with. And you cannot ignore Toyota's incredible reliability history when it comes to hybrid powertrains. This is likely going to be a very reliable car, and we really look forward to buying our own test model and putting it through all of our tests here at Consumer Reports' 327-acre test facility in Connecticut. For more on sedans, check out consumerreports.org.